Hey, so today I'm sharing footage of me practicing drawing portraits in a stylized kind of way, using models on Pinterest just as an example. And this was a project where I thought maybe I could have some examples of what I would do to offer for like avatars if someone were to commission something like that for me. And I feel like this is probably going to be an abandoned project because I'm just not that into it, I guess. But I'm using this footage as a background for something new that we're going to try, just because I had the opportunity when I visited with my friend Lindsay, as you saw in the vlog. We also had a moment to have a nice, long, relaxing chat about art topics, and a lot of it is just reminiscing, because we've been art friends since we were children. And this was a very unstructured conversation where we just kind of go all over the place about our experiences in our journey to live our life as artists, even when we didn't know that we were doing that. And I want to introduce my friend Lindsay Etheridge. She does intuitive spiritual art, and I hope I get this right. She does private commissions for people using her spiritual intuition to directly tell her what to paint for her clients, and what they get is largely a surprise, and it's really exciting. And we talk a little bit about that later on in the video, so if you want a video just to listen to while you are drawing, like so many of us do, go ahead and grab your stuff and draw with us and enjoy.
So when we were in high school, we had internet. We would upload things on Elfwood, and it was like this gigantic process, right?
Right,
because I would take it to your house to scan, which was like a gigantic deal. And I would save one image per floppy disk or something, because that's how big floppy disks were.
Oh, right, I remember that. Holy crap.
And then we'd go home, and I would like put it on my website, you know, in the year 1999 or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was our internet, the equivalent of DeviantArt. Now, everyone has access to so much knowledge, so many videos, so many tutorials,
Yeah.
so much exposure to stuff. Like, I get so much inspiration from Twitter. I've also noticed that it seems like people just get so good at drawing younger.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that.
And I'm wondering, like, how do you think you would have experienced the art process differently had we had the same kind of exposure? Because we literally only ever drew Sailor Moon at first, and then anime.
Yeah.
And I think people are still doing that, but they're just better.
Yeah. I think it's the resources of, the resources in their hands. They're getting taught the stuff that they love because it's there. So, like, before, like, we didn't really do YouTube, so we couldn't really look up tutorials and how to, like... I know. Can you imagine?
I don't feel jealous, because the way social media is just
It's
so
kinda
high
scary.
pressure and very scary.
Imagine being a fourth grader on the internet, because that stays there forever, even if you delete it.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, and a lot of people nowadays are getting, like, flack for what they did. But we're talking...
Well, those people are adults that did that, though. That's different.
That's different.
I'm just really glad that we didn't have.
We were
video,
never really bad
like-
kids like that, though.
I know that we wish that we had video cameras to videotape us.
I know,
and
we
stuff.
always tried.
And so now I'm thinking, like, maybe it was a good thing we didn't have video cameras.
Actually,
'Cause I feel like it
yeah.
would be embarrassing.
Yeah.
We have that one tape and you hate it.
What one tape? Oh. When you were a lion and I was like...
Stupid lying.
lying. Oh, man.
I love that videotape. It makes me so happy.
Because we had
Even
fun.
though it's mostly just me in it, and I hate that.
It was like an old camera. It was like...
It was big.
Yeah, it was huge.
Because it recorded directly to a VHS tape.
Yeah.
So it was like
Huge.
a foot and a half long.
It's massive.
And
I
it
just
only
remember
recorded
like,
3
oh
minutes
shoot,
at a time.
it
Or-
died. I'm like, okay, I won't move.
In your mid-sentence.
Yeah. So much knowledge and resources are at your fingertips. Going back to that.
Thank God.
So much knowledge and resources of learning is at your fingertips because everyone's teaching now. Because that's how, like, I developed with Photoshop. I tried doing Photoshop in 1998, and it was, like, the most difficult, most confusing thing I've ever did. And then I just slowly started learning, and I learned faster through the internet. when things started coming out. And now you just like type in tutorials, like why go to school? Why go to art school when like you can literally learn how to develop your art online?
Well, I mean, the point of
It's
art
very
school...
controversial, but...
No, I mean, the point of art school is that you have accountability to do stuff that you don't want to do. And also, you're networking with people who are in the industry.
That's true, I guess.
Everything else is whatever. Because I couldn't teach myself to do digital art, for example, because I wouldn't care enough to do the work, you know?
But why would you do something that you don't want to do?
In high school, all the homework was so boring that I would never have, like, drawn anything from life if they didn't make us.
I didn't really draw from life. Like, I didn't draw, like...
We didn't use any references.
I remember one of the things that my teacher did was he made us look through the National Geographic magazines. And I remember going through that. Like, my sketchbooks were just filled with anime stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and I always got, like, A's.
I mean, yeah, me too. I didn't know that my teacher didn't like anime until my mom went to, like, the first parent-student conference thing that she'd ever gone to in my whole life. And so my teacher was like, you know, your daughter draws a lot of anime. She should, like, stop. Like, that was the first I ever heard of it. So I didn't have, like, a mean art teacher who hated anime, but she definitely didn't want me to draw anime.
I don't approve of that. I'd be pissed as a parent if I had a teacher telling me that my daughter should stop drawing something that they love.
That is just another part of, and maybe you thought similarly. You tell me back then whether or not our ultimate goal as artists was to capture things photorealistically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because, like,
it's what we
I
were
have
supposed
learned
to
that
do.
that is not true. Because I feel like that's the teacher's ultimate goal a lot of the time. Maybe not so much yours, because yours was more based on creative thought.
Yeah.
And mine was more on technical skill.
Yeah.
Which was great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I enjoy that aspect of it. Like, she taught me how to draw what I see, not what I think. You know, all the basic elements of art, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And which is also why I never appreciated when people said that they're self-taught.
You know,
no one's self-taught, though.
You know what's funny?
No,
I agree with that. I you know, and it's funny because I'm not... Well, I did go to art school. Well, I went to Kwantlen for, like, one art thing.
What was it? Just drawing?
I was just drawing, and I didn't like it. I can honestly say I didn't like it. I liked the experience.
The drawing classes are, like, the most boring classes.
It was boring. But I can honestly agree with you that no one is self-taught. You look at something,
especially now,
and you're inspired by something.
Then they taught you something.
It
when you
us something.
Say that you're self-taught.
Yeah.
It just tells everyone who helped you that they don't matter and that they didn't even contribute to you at all. You just did it all yourself.
And honestly, you know what's kind of interesting?
Maybe none of this is interesting.
No. Like, because how I taught my students is finding their unique style. Whether you realize it or not, the artists that you admire, you have been influenced by them in your own work. I have, like, a couple of artists that I keep in mind, and you look at all the artists' work that I've admired, it's literally, my work is like a...
amalgamation.
It's, like, all over, like, it's like all of them.
That's how you get your
style.
So,
it's like Disney, anime, Brian Froud. Who else? There's a couple of digital artists that I really love, that I look up to and admire. And essentially, they all kind of taught me something that kind of formed me as an artist.
Right.
I don't call myself a person that went through school for art, because I literally took one class, and I don't call that. You're not necessarily self-taught.
I mean, I'm sure there's probably, like, some person out there who grew up in a forest with wolves and, like, figured out how to draw on their own or something, but, like, in general, accepted term of self-taught.
I don't think that people who grew up
there
with wolves are going to be busy drawing.
There's going to be some wolf child who is going to leave a comment saying, like, I'm self-taught. I made my own paint from poo and
okay,
sticks.
well,
And I think I've said it before that like artists' superpower is looking at something and figuring out how it was done just by looking at it.
Yeah, your art style has definitely changed from then.
Well, I didn't really have an art style. We just filled sketchbooks with stuff.
Weird things that makes your mother question your sanity.
I don't know. I don't think she's ever seen it. But...
Well, mine.
What, really? Why? Did she say something?
I had this fascination of what blood would look like. I guess flow. I've always, like, that was one of the things. That was one of the reasons why I originally wanted to become an animator. Because I wanted people to feel something, I think.
Really? So that was what you would have done if you thought you had a choice? You would have done animation?
Yeah. Now what I do now, I actually do art and actually have people feel something, which is interesting. Never thought that I would end up doing that. But that was like one of the things that I absolutely wanted in life, is I wanted to make people feel through art. Working with spirits, like showing people that kind of strength and power within themselves through visual art.
I was, like most of us, was taught at a young age that art wasn't a real, like, career.
Mm-hmm.
So I never really thought about it. I think the only reason why I ever considered doing animation is because of we did the free course at a different school. It was CDIS, but it's not anymore. And make cartoons with Macromedia Flash.
Oh.
And that was a really fun week. They presented it as the freedom to, compared to high school, you can work, you can get up whenever you wanted, go use the bathroom whenever you wanted. They had foosball tables. I didn't really understand at the time that those kind of things mean, like, you live at your job. Which is why
doing
I would
animation?
never do... I wouldn't do animation
no.
anyway because it doesn't
Never.
interest me.
Yeah, no, like when I was pretty friggin' disappointed after high school. I couldn't afford going to animation school. It was so friggin' expensive. It was so expensive.
Yeah.
I'm like, I would never be able to do this.
What do you think your parents wanted you to do?
You know what? I don't think they really had expectation of me. Like, I think they wanted me to focus on passing school. I think my mom tried to help me find a direction because I was lost, because I felt that art wasn't a direction to go. I know that, like, I was lucky enough that my parents would support anything that they were able to support with financially. My mom paid for me to go to art school and have that experience of college. I hated it.
That one class?
Yeah, that one class.
Why did you hate it?
I didn't like the projects we got. I was like, why am I...
Just drawing naked guys?
That was actually fun. I actually enjoyed it. I got a bad mark on it, though.
What?
I made the guy look hot. The guy was old. He was really
It's the
old.
same old guy that I got. He was just like kind of old, but also muscular.
Yeah. And he kind of looked like a really hot Jesus in my drawing. Like, I made him look really good, and the girls were like all over my drawing. They were like, "Oh wow, he looks like a friggin' Calvin Klein model. Wow, look at that."
That's a strange comment. Like, how do you respond to that? Like, is she insulting you?
Don't know. But like, yeah, he was like, I'm like, he looks like a hot Jesus, and I really liked it. And like, I knew it didn't look like him.
But you hated what? What did you hate?
Some of the things that he gave us to do, like our teacher, like, there was one that I'm like, I don't understand why I'm doing this. I'm not learning anything from this. I think it was like looking at negative space.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Which,
yeah.
I mean, like, and then we would cut out the negative space, and we would have to make it look different. I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm literally not learning.
I feel like that's supposed to teach us something. But I feel like we just weren't taught
it would be
what that was.
You know what? Yeah, that's exactly what
it was like.
you needed.
It feels more like busy work.
Yeah,
they just make you do something and not explain why you're doing it.
I felt like I was just like doing arts and crafts. Give me the technique so I can use, and I can use my imagination. I don't want to draw what you want me to draw. I think that was the problem I've been having. I'm very stubborn.
Yeah, they used to set up some interesting still lifes.
It's
and
like,
that's kind of it.
Yeah, if you want me to learn about shadow, teach me about shadows. And then get me to draw something that I want to draw. And I have to utilize what you taught me in my drawing. And I think that that's what my high school teacher did.
That's high school art.
I find that I learned way more.
And also, sometimes people who go to college for art never got high school art.
I guess so,
So
yeah.
you have to learn that stuff before you go to college, I guess. Art school's probably different. I had the same problem with that. So, like, I went to Kwantlen not to get a degree. I went in as general studies because someone came into the store where I worked and said, oh, I'm taking a painting class at Kwantlen. It starts at 8 a.m. and it's so early, but it's so relaxing. And I was like, you know what? That sounds really nice. I took all of the studio classes. I took all 4 drawing classes, all 4 painting classes. I feel like I took a lot. I did not learn anything. I feel like the experience at the community college, I don't know if it's like that in art school, but it felt more like a social club than a school experience. We drew and paint stuff, but we didn't actually get taught stuff. The 4-hour classes were so awful. You're drawing like a man for 2 to 4 hours, and I just got so like, I started drawing the room, the curtains, the chair, the other students all around, and the model would come up to me eating his like snack and with a blanket on, and he'd be like, wow, you just went ham, you just drew everything.
I'm bored as hell. How good would someone be if they were just taught what they loved? I don't know.
You don't want to be stuck doing the same thing forever?
I mean, like, you know, if you want to be like doing it forever. But you know what? Honestly, like, for me personally, I draw a lot of animals now. I never drew animals in my life. And it's probably like one of the things that I love to draw now. I've always loved drawing people.
I do love sketching people, but I just don't use it in my art because I feel like it gets too personal. Like, I'm obviously just a shy wuss, but also I just never knew how to incorporate people in art. And if I wanted to use a reference, it would have to look like me. And I don't want to just be painting pictures of me. I can't paint pictures of strangers that I see online because you just can't do that.
Yeah.
And, like, I didn't want to paint pictures of all my friends because that's fucking weird. So, like, I just didn't ever. And maybe you just have to be practiced enough to be able to invent new people.
Well, that's what I kind of do. I just invent the new people. How I do it is I look at reference as in like shading and proportion, and sometimes I would be like, I would think of something in my like of a person in my head because I do draw like spirit a lot. So I'd be like, okay, they have this type of eye shape. I'm going to look up that type of eye shape. I go piece by piece, and then I'll form a person that doesn't really exist.
I've seen people do that digitally before they paint stuff.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, they just like cut out from like reference images and just like paste it like a Picasso.
That's pretty much what I do in my head. Like I kind of do it in my head like that.
Except they just do the whole painting like that before they paint it. So they'll have like the background cut and pasted in and the foreground cut and pasted in.
Weird.
This flower here and this bird here.
If I'm painting for someone and I need to paint like either like their higher self or their self, I would use their picture as a reference.
That makes sense. What do you think the worst art advice you ever got was?
So I had this teacher like that took over for my actual art teacher. He was regularly a drama teacher. I did a watercolor painting of a mermaid, and he was into like, this was like art careers, and he knew that I wanted to be in animation, but I painted this mermaid. And it was a watercolor painting. I loved it so much. I had like the soft brown outline and it just looked so nice and soft. He's like, you need to outline this in black. I was like, oh, okay. Thinking that, okay, well, he's a teacher, so I'll just do it then. And I ruined it. Didn't look the same anymore. Mm-hmm. It looked terrible. I didn't love it as much. Mm-hmm. Whereas it was so nice and soft looking beforehand. And then there was another time where I painted a huge acrylic painting, and it was of a mermaid, another mermaid, and a sea dragon. And it was so beautiful and bright looking. It was gorgeous. Like, I loved it. The colors were just bright, and it was like her hair was red. It sounds like the Little Mermaid, but she definitely wasn't, right? Her hair was red and the background was blue, and it was the contrast of it looked so amazing together. He told me to make it look more underwater, to do a wash of a bluish green, and it turned her hair like a murky color. It was disgusting. I was so mad.
See, that was the one class that I did learn from color theory
Oh,
class.
I love color theory, and I didn't even take a class for color theory.
That was the best class I've ever taken.
Yeah.
We were told to choose a theme at the very beginning of the class. So
Yeah.
everything we drew was related to that theme.
That's so cool. I love that.
Because the whole goal of the class was to have a portfolio. But it was just so relaxing because you only ever did 6x6 squares.
Yeah.
And then she put on classical music and you just drew with colors.
Oh, I love that.
It was so great. And you learn stuff about color. Like, that's the problem with, like, when big artists do the trends, like the pouring art.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, abstract art in particular, it seems like no one understands color theory because they always pick the ugliest colors.
I don't understand that.
And everyone's just like,
why
I'm going to do purple and bright orange. Like, it's always fully saturated different colors.
Yeah.
No, like, tints or shades of similar color groupings.
Which would be really...
Which is, like, literally all you're doing in pour art is combining colors.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to pick the right ones.
Yeah, like the right ones that would go... I do have a confession to make. That I've learned color theory from you.
What?
Okay?
I didn't teach nobody.
Well, I know you didn't. But I saw your wheel. And I've always kind of stuck with that notion. Like, I kind of knew, but I never really looked at it in a way. Honestly, when I did art, I just did it. I didn't really think of colors. Working with spirit, like, I just go with the flow, and I'm in meditation. So I don't think of my plan, and I don't think of my art.
It's all intuitive.
Yeah,
like,
it's all
automatic.
intuitive.
I feel like you do stick to
a certain color.
A certain color pattern.
I do. I noticed that I do gravitate towards a lot of blues and purples, but there has been some paintings that I've used a lot of reds, and like sometimes freaking spirit tells me to draw something that I've never drawn before. I always say, like, spirit is my best teacher because spirit is the one that's telling me, you need to draw this. I'm like, well, I've just do it. Draw a rhinoceros with a fairy sitting on top of it. I'm like, oh, that's gonna look interesting. And I did, and it actually turned out really nice. I was like, holy crap. Like, I'm actually really proud of this. I've never drawn a rhinoceros before, and I had to, like, study a rhinoceros to make it look good. There was one where I had to draw a sloth. Yeah, I'm
you
like...
come to me all the time, you're like, I can't believe this thing I have to draw.
And I look at those sloths, I'm like, oh my...
His terrifying hands.
They're so freaking cute. I've never
Sure.
noticed, look at the face.
I guess so, but their whole body is just terrifying.
Well, don't look at the body, look at the face. The face is like nonstop smiley. It's so freaking adorable.
True.
It's so cute.
But it also kind of looks like the monsters from Return to Oz, alright?
The ones on wheels?
Yeah. That's what a sloth reminds me of.
That movie was so creepy.
I never saw it when I was a child, thank God.
I saw it as a child. That movie was so creepy. Those wheels, though. I can still hear them.
Hey, congratulations if you made it all the way here. I don't have a formal ending to this, and we just kind of ramble on about personal stuff, so I'm just going to end it there. If you want to know more about what Lindsay does for her art and maybe get a commission for yourself, I'll have a link in the description to her website. And let me know in the comments what you think about this video format. It's obviously not something that we could do more than a couple times a year, unless us old ladies learn how Discord works. So let us know what you think about that. And thanks for hanging out with us.